This is a little thing I like to call MLB Rants. Before I get into anything else, I would just like to point out that everything I say in this video are only my opinions. They are not universally correct. If there's something that I say in this video that you either agree with or disagree with, make sure you put that down in the comment section below. And if there's something that happens next week that you would like me to go over, also put that down in the comment section, and it might even make an appearance in next week's episode. I promised you guys a trade deadline analysis video last week. And that's what we're doing today. It was pretty crazy. What we're gonna do today, we're going to go through all the remarkable trades. We're not gonna go through all the trades, but the ones that really mean something, the ones that involve players that are actually worth talking about trading wise. At the end of it all, I'm going to first split up the groups into teams that did well and teams that did bad. We're going to make a tier list for each section of teams. So we'll have a tier list for the teams that traded really well, and we'll have a tier list for the teams that traded really poorly. We'll go S tier being the best. So let's say we're in the bad category of people. The S tier of that will be essentially the best of the worst. And then the S tier of the good category will be the best of the best. So we'll have an S tier, an A tier, a B tier, and a C tier for both regions. Without further ado, this is MLB Rants 2021 season, episode 17. Before splitting up the teams into who's good and who's bad, let's just go over all the trades. Not all the trades, but all the interesting trades. First off, and this is going in a timeline order, this is from the first trade to the very last trade. So the first one was Jock Peterson going to the Braves. The Rays got Nelson Cruz. Mets were able to get Rich Hill. Padres got Adam Frazier. Starling Marte went to the Athletics, and the Athletics sent Jesus Luzardo. The White Sox got Cesar Hernandez. Joey Gallo going to the Yankees. Anthony Rizzo also going to the Yankees. Kyle Schwarber going from the Nationals to the Red Sox. John Lester went from the Nationals to the Cardinals. Yan Gomes and Josh Harrison went from the Nationals to the Athletics. Dodgers getting Max Scherzer and Trea Turner from the Nationals. Craig Kimbrell going to the south side of Chicago to the White Sox from the Cubs, so not really traveling far there. Mets getting Javier Baez from the Cubs. And the last kind of interesting trade was Chris Bryant going to the Giants. I'm going to go from the AL West to the East, and then go from the NL West to the East, and then we'll do the tier list after that. So I'm going to say who's good and who's bad in trading wise. So starting in the AL West, Astros, bad. Angels, Rangers, and Athletics, all good. Mariners, bad. In the AL Central, the Tigers and Royals were bad, but the Twins, White Sox, and Indians were all good. And then in the AL East, everybody was good except for the Blue Jays. In the NL West, the Rockies and the D-backs were the only bad teams, and then the Dodgers, Padres, and Giants were all good. In the NL Central, Cardinals, Cubs, and Pirates were all good, but the Brewers and Reds were bad. And then in the NL East, the Mets and the Braves were the only good teams, and the Marlins, Phillies, and Nationals were all bad traders. You can see on the table which teams are good and which teams are bad, and now we're going to split them up into the good tier list and the bad tier list, and we're going to start with the Astros in the bad tier list. The Astros didn't really trade for anything. I feel like they needed a really strong outfielder, say Kyle Schwarber or Jock Peterson, would have really strengthened the lineup, could have made the difference in the AL West, because they are there or thereabouts with the Athletics. And all it takes is for a little playoff push and they're there, but they didn't seem to carry the trade deadline, and for that, I'm going to be putting them in the B tier. Next bad team are the Mariners. They don't have a shot in the playoffs, but it still would have been good to have an option for next year, especially since they have such a young team. And all you really need is one veteran like Miguel Cabrera, Joey Gallo, or Anthony Rizzo, any of those players. So for the Mariners, I'm going to put them into the C tier because they really needed that. Tigers, honestly feel like they should have traded Miguel Cabrera. They're not having the greatest year, and I feel like Miguel Cabrera for a little bit of cash would have been a really good idea. The Tigers, not too bad, so A tier. Next are the Royals. The Royals were trading players instead of getting players, and for where they are in the AL Central, I understand that the White Sox are so far in front of them, but all the same, it still would have been nice to see some new Royals players that could, help players like Salvador Perez out, because he just seems to be carrying the team on his back. So for the Royals, I'm going to put them B tier. Next team are the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have a really strong team, just players like George Springer keep kind of getting injured, and they need other people to back them up. So for that, I put them on the bad side of the list, and they're gonna be B tier. The next two teams are the Rockies and the D-backs. They didn't do anything. I feel like them trading all those players, yes, is good for them, but I feel like they traded the wrong players, and I don't know, but they still did the right thing. But I'm gonna put both of them in S tier. Brewers and Red basically did the same exact thing as one another, and somewhat kept signing. The Red made a few more trades than the Brewers, but ultimately the same result, and they're both going into the A tier. The Phillies didn't do anything, which is pretty big problem. Because you've got Bryce Harper, Rhys Hoskins, you've got a strong team, and you just need like one or two more players that will really get the team going, and they didn't do that. So Phillies, B tier. Marlins traded a bunch of players, which was really good for them, but the same argument with the D-backs. I feel like they traded the wrong players. Getting rid of Starling Marte, I feel like that was the wrong decision, but S tier for the Marlins. The Nationals are the team that I really don't understand, because they traded John Lester, Max Scherzer, Trea Turner, and Kyle Schwarber for essentially nothing. They could have gotten a buttload of money and then taken that money to one player like Anthony Rizzo that could have really helped them out, but they just didn't do that, and I just don't get why they would trade one of the best players in the league for other, pretty terrible players and prospects that we don't even know are good in the MLB yet. So Nationals, C tier. So this is the tier list for all the bad teams. I just don't get what they were doing, but we're gonna move on to the good teams now. Angels are the first good team on the list. They didn't do anything, which was good, because they have Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. They just need to figure it out, and hopefully Anthony Rendon was put on the IL for the rest of the year, which does suck, but a nice playoff push might be able to give the Angels maybe a chance at playoffs, but it's highly unlikely. I'm putting the Angels in B tier. Rangers, getting rid of Joey Gallo, best decision. They needed it. They were doing really bad, and yeah, the trade overall was really good. So Rangers, S tier. Athletics, getting rid of Jesus Luzardo. One of their better pitchers, but for Starling Marte and Yan Gomes and Josh Harrison, getting all those players too, so far seems to be working really well for them. So Athletics as well, going on my S tier. The Twins, getting rid of Nelson Cruz. Didn't understand it at first, but in the end, I kind of got it. So for that, I'm putting the Twins at A tier. The White Sox getting Cesar Hernandez and Craig Kimbrell. Really good decision. They didn't necessarily get rid of anybody, and they just kept the same winning team that they have right now. So White Sox, S tier for sure. The Indians getting rid of Cesar Hernandez was a good idea, and for the team that they are, they haven't really done much. Getting rid of him does seem to be a really good idea, but not too far. So Indians, A tier. The Yankees, phenomenal. Joey Gallo, Anthony Rizzo, strengthening that lineup. All you need to do, S tier. I don't even need to say anything else. Orioles, they didn't do anything, which was good, because there's no point. They suck. So Orioles, B tier. Rays, getting Nelson Cruz and giving Rich Hill to the Mets. I still don't get it. I don't get why the Rays were making any trades, so I'm putting them C tier. The Red Sox getting Schwarber, really good. It'll be good for them. Putting Red Sox on the B tier. Going to the NL, Dodgers getting Max Scherzer and Trey Turner, giving away practically nothing, deserves an S tier. The Padres didn't need to get rid of anybody, but they needed to sign some decent players like an Adam Frazier, and that's exactly what they did. So for that, I'm giving the Padres an A tier. The Giants getting Chris Bryant, not the move I would have gone for, but all the same, still a good trade. And for that, I'm putting them B tier. Cardinals getting John Lester. They need to strengthen their bullpen a little bit, and that will definitely help, but it's not really too much, so C tier for the Cardinals. The Cubs getting rid of their entire lineup. They finally figured it out because it's not working. And for that, I'm going to give the Cubs an S tier for getting rid of their entire team. Mets, you look at the Mets infield, you've got Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, and Javier Baez. It doesn't get better than that. Rich Hill on the mound too. You've got Marcus Stroman as well. S tier for the Mets. And then last but not least, the Braves. The Braves were able to get Jock Peterson. Jock Peterson was the one player that they desperately needed him, and they got him in the earliest stages of the trade deadline. And, you know, for the team that they are right now, for the position they're in the NL East, it could make the difference of them going to the postseason or not, because that outfielder is, you know, the spot that they're missing. And especially with Ronald Acuna Jr. getting injured, I feel like Jock Peterson can fill that position and maybe turn things around for the Braves before it's too late. As you can see, these are my 2-tier lists for all 30 MLB teams. You've got the bad teams on the left side and then the good teams on the right side. Let me know in the comment section if you agree with this or disagree with this. But the trade deadline was really interesting. A lot of good trades, especially with the Yankees. And the Yankees do look like a very, very, very big powerhouse team. And that is scary because they've had powerhouse players for the longest time. And now they've just added 2 more that are currently hitting bombs for them. They've just started there and they're already hitting bombs. So that's the trade deadline. So, as you know, the MLB season always has to come to a close in October or November, depending on how long the postseason goes. And even in the postseason, I can't talk about too much because there are only so many teams to talk about. There are only so many things to go over. Yes, the playoffs will definitely be exciting, especially with my playoff bracket that I made a few weeks ago. If you haven't watched that video, make sure you click the info icon that's popping up right now. But, yeah. There's going to be a little bit of an off season for MLB Rants. But to fix that, I would like to introduce to you 2 new channels that are going to be part of the Rants community. They are College Football Rants and NFL Rants. NFL is starting right now. Preseason goes on right now. College football starts at the end of August. And again, those 2 organizations have a lot of problems. I will still be uploading for MLB Rants even when it's the off season. I won't be uploading as much, but I will still be uploading occasionally. But until then, I will be focusing on college football and NFL, NFL will last until February and college football will last until the middle of January. And then once NFL ends, MLB starts with spring training, and we can go over a few things, maybe some things that we missed in the offseason. The links to those channels will be in my description. Make sure you go subscribe to that and get on to the first video. I don't know when it will be yet, but it's definitely going to be coming soon, and I thought I should make the announcement now as, you know, the MLB season is kind of drawing to a close a little bit. I know we're still a few months away, but NFL season and college football season are coming up, and I would love and appreciate you guys to go check those channels out too and watch my videos there as well. That is it for this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like button and also hit that subscribe button. Put on that bell for push notifications so that you get the notification every single time that I upload. In case you forget, I upload on a weekly basis every single Friday. If there's something that I said in this video that you either agreed with or disagreed with, make sure you put it down in the comment section below. And if there's something that happens next week that you would like me to go over, also put that down in the comment section, and it might even make an appearance in next week's episode. Make sure you go subscribe to the channels now. There aren't any videos there, but when they get there, make sure you go subscribe to them and watch them like the same you do here. It's going to be the exact same thing, exact same setup, just different sports, different players, different things to talk about, different rules to talk about, especially for college football. Been a lot going on for that. So if you want to hear what I have to say for that, make sure it goes down into my description and click on that College Football Rants link and hit subscribe and push that bell for push notifications. Other than that, that is it for this week's episode, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.